Dr. Cavazzoni, I've introduced legislation with Dr. Smith that would consolidate the process for FDA to make therapeutic equivalent determinations for 505(b)(2) new drug applications. What data does FDA need to make a therapeutic equivalent determination which is not otherwise included in the 505(b)(2) application?
Thank you, Senator. We're aware of that legislation, and we understand and agree with the importance of therapeutic equivalence evaluations as a means to allow a substitution of drugs at the pharmacy. The pathway that we have to generate data that supports a therapeutic equivalence application is the generic drug review pathway. It is really fit for purpose to provide that answer by the time, at the time an application is approved. Conversely, the 505(b)(2) pathway is really not set up to generate the data that by the end of the review of the application or even after the application has been reviewed would allow us to make a determination of therapeutic equivalence. Why? Because the review tools and the actual regulations are really not set up to yield those data by the time a 505(b)(2) application is reviewed. So we are concerned that requiring a proposal to require that therapeutic equivalence evaluation be done within the context of 505(b)(2) applications would be very difficult to implement under the current framework. And we are interested in better exploring any barriers in the generic drug review program that may make it more difficult for some of these applications to come through the generic program where we can make those determinations very efficiently.
Thank you. Either Dr. Cavazzoni or Dr. Marks, there's been a recent court ruling that's called into question some aspects of the Orphan Drug Act. Specifically, courts have determined FDA can only award orphan drug exclusivity for an entire condition as opposed to indications within a condition. Can you elaborate on how this change in the scope of orphan drug exclusivity would impact current and future patient access to generics and biosimilars?
Thanks, Senator, for that question. So that particular decision has particular implications on the development of drugs, particularly in the pediatric realm for pediatric rare diseases. With orphan drug exclusivity, one does not necessarily have to develop a drug for a pediatric population. With this decision now, in the past, there would be a separate population that could have been granted for the pediatric population, allowing development to occur both in the adult orphan population and in the pediatric orphan population. Now, with this, that pediatric place is blocked. We view that as a potential problem for the development of drugs for rare diseases, and we would very much look forward to working with Congress to try to find a solution to this issue.
Put a point on it working with Baldwin and Cassidy because we're the ones who have the bills. So just to say that, Madam Chair and Mr. Ranking Member. Dr. Shuren, Congress has previously directed that the FDA issue certificates to foreign governments for FDA-approved medical devices that are exported from an FDA-registered establishment outside of the U.S. However, instead of doing that, I'm told, in 2020, FDA established a new form of certificate known as the Certificate for Device Not Exported from the United States. And this is, as I understand it, explicitly says that the FDA has not, does not convey that it would be lawful to import the market or market the device in the United States. As the FDA is the gold standard, this is unnecessarily burdensome language, so it seems, and has caused confusion among manufacturers and foreign regulators. Congress asked you to do this, and you've not done it. Any comment on all this?
Well, certainly there are two different situations. The certificate for foreign government is where we have a device that's made in the U.S. that's then exported to another country. It's subject to requirements in the U.S., like oversight on the manufacturing. And so FDA is in a different position to provide assurances regarding that device. Under the new provision, these are devices that are made in another country and they're sent to a different country. They're not in the U.S. They're not subject to the U.S. requirements. The FDA hasn't overseen them. We can't make the same assurances, and we do not want to convey to a foreign government something that would be incorrect. That said, there may be ways to fix this. There are some members in the House who are interested in doing so. If there's interest in the Senate, we'd be interested in working with you or other members to go ahead and do that.
May I have a follow-up question? I am told, though, that these are devices manufactured in facilities, and these facilities export these devices into the United States. Presumably, that means the facility would then have been inspected by FDA. FDA does not allow devices to be imported unless they have inspected the facility. So have I been told incorrectly that FDA has not inspected these facilities and has not approved these devices for sale within the U.S.?
Well, for devices that are made overseas and they're not for the U.S. marketplace, we would not have reviewed.
That's not what I'm asking.
Yeah.
If there is a device from a facility and that facility is approved to send the device into the U.S., that same facility is sending the same device to another country. That's my understanding of the current circumstance, and that for which a certificate for foreign government was directed by Congress to be issued. Now, is my understanding of this situation incorrect?
If that device, though, sometimes when you deal with a device that's made on a different manufacturing line for another country, that goes on.
Again, I'm not saying that.
Right.
It is the same device brought to the U.S. that is then being sent to another country. And so same manufacturing line, same device, it's just going in two different directions. And I think that was Congress's intent.
And that is a point where we think we could deal with clarification and then allow for those circumstances.
And so your point is it's not clear in what Congress previously passed that has that specificity.
That has been my understanding, but I would be happy to get back to you on that.
Thank you. I yield. Thank you.